Here's the little table that we're going to make. Now the first thing you're going to want to do is make sure that it's on. So find the power switch on the back there, that it's on the upright position and that the cord is in. And you'll know when you turn it on because it'll make a little humming noise. And then you're going to grab the SD card, this tiny little SD card. And you're going to find this little slot over here on the right hand side of the machine. And it's kind of spring loaded. When you put it in there, you have to kind of push against it. You'll be pushing against a spring. And you're going to have to push it all the way in until it clicks. And then it'll kind of like lock into place. And you know you've got it in there when it clicks. And if it doesn't read the card, then you know you didn't push it in all the way. So the next thing you're going to want to do is make sure that the bed is clean. And you can grab this little spatula that comes with the machine, kind of scrape it all off. It also kind of wipes the nozzle off here on this left-hand side when it first starts a print, and there'll always be a little piece of plastic junk on there from the previous print. So you want to make sure that that's off of there and you got nothing on the bed. And then you're going to, I'm just moving over here to use the home button there to put the print bed back into its starting spot there, and you can see that the extruder head is coming down to kind of touch it and make sure it knows where everything is and it's all set up ready to print. Before we go to printing though, you want to make sure that your filament is going into the machine nicely and that the wheel is not pinched, that there's nothing behind the print bed that it's gonna bang into as it's trying to print that's gonna cause it to mess up. Now it looks like a touch screen here, but it's not. What it actually is this little wheel off to the side, and you can see as you kind of rotate that from left to right, you can move through the options there on the screen. That little blue line underlining it will tell you what you're after. So here I've just moved into the move mode, and I can move in various different directions, and there'll be a back button at the bottom. Preheat is something that's optional. You can basically tell the nozzle and the bed to start warming up while you're getting ready. So maybe you're just setting up your Cura to keep on doing some slicing, and you can get it warmed up because it takes a couple of minutes to get started. And you'll notice there that there's the target temperature of 190 and then the bed temperature of 50. Now remember that those are Celsius numbers. That's not Fahrenheit. So when it's going to 190, that's like going to like 375 degrees or something. You know, it's really 200 degrees is the target temperature for the nozzle. That's, you know, almost 400 degrees Fahrenheit. So it's really hot. So really be aware of that. And then when you're ready to print, you can just go ahead and select print and find down the list. This is all the different files on my SD card. I'm going to scroll down here and find the tables tutorial G code there. When I push in on the button, you push on the button to select there, and that's going to load up that file, and then it's going to start heating. So it's the nozzle was already warmed up and the bed was already ready to go. So as soon as it reaches those temperatures, it'll start printing. So here we are about 30 seconds or so into the print, and you see it's printed the skirt on there, and it started to actually print the table. And this guy is pretty small, so because the piece is so small, it only takes about 10 minutes or so to print. Larger pieces will take a lot longer. And you can see now it's starting to move diagonally side to side there to print the actual tabletop. The little ring around the outside is just our skirt that we'll peel off and toss away. So you can sit there and watch this, but you don't need to, although I really recommend that you watch the first minute or so, and you can see that little progress bar there on the screen where you can see how much more it's got to go. So it's just started there and it's got a while to go, and you can check on it a couple of times. Once you really start knowing what you're doing, you can sort of go off and do something else, but for your first couple of prints, it's a really good idea to stick around and check on it every once in a while. Just go check your email somewhere else in the room and keep an eye on it, because if a piece falls over or you got your settings wrong or something, you're going to want to be able to cancel the print and not make a big mess. So here's the printed piece all done and ready to go. You can see that it's finished. We got the little checkbox in there, and we're ready to peel this guy off of the desk. Now I typically, for these tiny little parts, I typically tend to use a straight razor here like this. So I'm just sliding it underneath the skirt there, and it'll just kind of peel right up. Now I didn't do any kind of preparation. For more delicate pieces, you can put glues down or masking tapes. There's all kinds of bed adhesion tricks, but for something like this, I'm just printing it right onto the bed. And it does have this little scraper that comes with it, but this is better for kind of bigger, beefier parts that you need to pry off there. I think just being very careful with the razor blade is good for getting these tiny little parts off, but please be careful not to gouge into the bed of the printer. You see I'm just kind of sliding it under there enough to kind of pop it off, and usually it'll come off in one little pop, and there's our little table ready to go. And you can see it's done a pretty good job of printing. Now it's important to remember that you're not going to be printing, you're printing something teeny tiny scale. So here we are kind of zoomed in a little bit, and you can see there's little imperfections in there. There's some little bumpy bits there where it just sort of dripped. Remember, this is upside down. It's right side up now, but you can see there's a little bit of the printing grain on there. That bugs you. You can take a little sandpaper to the top of that. And again, a little plastic spray paint will allow you to print, spray it and paint other colors onto it. It doesn't need to be the color of the filament. There's all sorts of things that you can do. And if you look really close in there, there's going to be some imperfections, some little details that aren't pretty. But don't worry, because again, this is a 1/4 inch model. This is a teeny tiny representation of what you're doing. And so hopefully this will give you the confidence to go ahead and start doing some 3D printing.